Good morning. Welcome to the Crafty Summer Show, and I'm Greg Summers. And today our project is going to be making a shelf out of a discarded water ski. And this one here is in not very good shape. The finish has started peeling off, and the varnish is pretty much gone on it. So what I've started doing is sanding it down, trying to get the loose paint off and get down into the surface of the wood. And what we will do is we will put another coat of varnish on top of this to try to lock in the pieces that are maybe a little bit loose, and also to give it a smooth finish. I've already sanded the back side, and now we're doing the front side. I've taken all the hardware off, the little boots and the rudders and stuff like that right now, so that I can work on the wood itself. And this seems to look pretty good at this point to me. And I think what I'm going to do now is take a tack cloth, and a tack cloth simply is a piece of cloth with a little bit of paint thinner or mineral spirits in it. And all that does is pick up the dust that's been caused by sanding. Also, it's going to give you a little bit of an idea of what the project will look like when it's done. Gives a little bit of shine. Now this will basically will dry up and get a haze on it. Do both sides and do the edges. This is an old water ski, and it's actually made out of mahogany, and that is a pretty good type of wood to use. Mahogany is pretty water resistant too, so it stays stable for a long time. The newer skis are plastic or composite, and this is the one I found, so it's one we're going to use. Okay, now we've got that part done. We've got it sanded. We've got our the dust taken off of it. So I'm going to take a clear urethane varnish, and since I don't know where I'm going to put this ski at, I'm going to use a exterior varnish. If it was going to be simply mounted inside, we could use an interior. Use a clean brush and take a minimum amount of varnish and put a nice thin coat on top of this. You can use semi-gloss or gloss or satin, depending on the type of finish that you want. And I believe the only difference between gloss and satin is the material that they put in the can. If you leave a can of satin sit long enough, the satin part of it will settle down to the bottom. If you open the can very slowly, the top part of the material will be gloss. Put a nice thin coat on top of that. Brings out the luster. Don't want to brush it too much. The more you brush it, it tends to put air bubbles in the varnish. And when you're finished, you always want to brush in the direction of the grain of the wood, or the lines that you see in the wood. And it looks about like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to watch the varnish dry. Nothing more exciting than that. Better put the lid on the can first. Okay, we're going to be back in a few minutes as soon as the varnish dries, and go on with the next part of the project. Well, nothing more exciting than watching varnish dry. So it's been a couple hours, and it looks like that dried pretty good. So I think we're ready to go. This is what the ski looks like after it's dried out. Got a little bit of the name still left on there. Looks like it should be a good project. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn the ski around because I want to put the mounting holes on this side. And what's going to happen is the ski is going to be set on the table like this, and I'm going to take this old, I believe this was an axle off of a grill, but it seems to be the right size. I'm going to drill holes into the ski and place this rod into the wood or the ski, and leave some stick out that we can pass that in through a wall too. So I'll put that aside. What I want to do is set up a type of fixture that'll hold the ski in the right position here so I can get the holes in there nice and straight. And I think that'll work a lot better then. Set this here. Take a piece of 2x4, and what I want to do now is screw this into the bench and then put another one in on the other side and kind of put some wedges in there to lock it in place. So I have to take my screw gun here. I'm going to put a couple screws in here to ooh, lock that down pretty good. Squeak, squeak. Well, you know, it's springtime now, and all the cities are having their annual cleanup days, and I think that's probably the best time to get out there and look around and see if you can find something you might be able to use in a project. If you have any good ideas, let me know, and we'll see if we can put them on. Okay, this is the back piece here I'm going to use. It's going to go like this, and this is the front piece, and I'm going to put that about right there. You have to accurately measure everything so you know it'll work out right. That looks about right. Whoa. And one more. Oh. All right. Now this is my brace here, and what I'm going to do is I've got some pieces of wood here, and I've made some little wedges on the bandsaw, and these wedges I'm going to push into the side here to compress that and hold everything straight. I hope it works. I think that might work. Get a hammer here, and I'm going to drive this wedge in, compress that, and make that nice and tight. Okay, that locks that in. Now I have the ski on the bench, and what I want to do is to figure out when I drill the holes to make sure they're going to be straight, and I use a level here to make sure the ski itself is level. And probably the next thing is use a little bit of technology here, as I'm going to use this. It's called a doweling jig, and it's simply a piece of metal that helps you drill holes into the center of a piece of wood. And normally you put a dowel rod in there if you're going to glue pieces together, and it works really well that way. But this, it automatically centers itself, so I'm going to set it down on the ski like that, and then tighten that up. And that should do that. Now I have to figure out which. Ooh, that's going to work really well. Okay, that's the one I want to use, and I have to find a drill bit that's the same size as the metal that I'm using here. And there's a couple of different ways. I used to use, well, if I had one, I would use a micrometer. A micrometer is used to measure pieces of wood. I guess I'm going to use the poor man's micrometer, which is a crescent wrench. I'm simply going to turn that down, and that's about the same size as the rod there. And luckily we're drilling in wood, so it doesn't have to be too critical. Ooh, that one fits pretty good. And that one is a little bit too big, so I won't use that bit there. And this is the bit I'm going to use, and that goes in there. So what I have to do now is make sure that I drill straight down this way and also this way here. I guess that'd be the different axes then. How far in do you go? I'd go in about, I don't know. How long's a bit? There's how much I'm going to drill in. Now what I want to do is make sure that I drill straight. I don't want to drill at an angle this way or an angle back that way, so it's very critical. I'm going to use a square to kind of line things up. You know where that's going to be at. And that. Start out slow. Let the bit dig in. And then clean that out every once in a while. Remember, this is a very expensive project and you don't want to ruin the wood. Okay, we've got that. The next thing I have to make sure is where the next hole is going to be drilled at. But on a ski, the ski itself starts to taper down to the back, so I have to make sure that the jig itself is sitting perfectly flat. And also from this hole here, I have to measure exactly 32 inches, because in a wall, your studs are every 16 inches, and I want to skip one in between. So that would be 32 inches between three studs. So I got to find 32. Wow, it's way down there. Holy mackerel. Okay, and every time I have this whole can of pencils, none of them are sharp. But luckily I brought one. Does that ever happen? Has that ever happened to you? Usually when I go on a job I take 3 or 4 pencils, and by the time I get there I've lost them all. Alright, I want to go from the center of the hole to the center of the other hole. Ooh, right there. And be exactly 32 inches. Use a square. Right there. Take the joweling jig. On this particular one, there's little grooves way down at the bottom that you have to look at and line it up with. So now I've got to use my cheaters here. Oh, there it is. There's the line and there's the groove. Oh, that's perfect. Now I've got it on the line and I'm a little bit worried that this isn't level, so I'm going to check this here. Tighten that down nice and tight so it's not going to move. Now I'm ready to drill a hole down through here. These two holes should be 32 inches apart. Ski's nice and big, that gives me support. So keep an eye on that and make sure I'm drilling straight, because I don't want to start out crooked. Here we go. Okay, now we've got the two. Ooh, I can't. Got it too tight now. I can't. There it comes. All right, get that off. The next step now is to cut this rod so that and then press it down inside the hole. And since this was an axle, it's got two little bumps on here. Can you see these bumps here? So I've either got to grind those off or cut those off. I don't know which one. Okay. That much. Alright. I'm going to go over the grinder now and I'm going to grind those two little bumps off so that that'll slide into the wood. So this will take me a second or two. Always have your workbenches nice and clean so nothing interferes. Hey, nothing like the smell of the grinding wheel in the morning. Okay, so now I know that that is going to go down about that far, and I need to cut that off. So we'll do a little measuring here. Total rod's 18. I'm going to cut 2 9-inch sections. And if I do that, oh, that's going to be perfect. A little more than what I need. Okay, I need a hacksaw with a good blade on it. That looks good. I'm going to go over here to the vise now, clamp this in. Mark that at about 9 inches. Since the rod's at an angle, I'm going to cut at an angle. All right, we have 1 rod cut. And now we'll go for the second one. Yes, I think I'll change hacksaws. Oh, much better. Now we have these rods cut, and they're pretty square on the ends and sharp, and it'd be really difficult to drive that down inside a hole. I'm going to chamfer them off a little bit on the grinding wheel again. Okay, we've got our 2 rods here now, and these are going to fit down inside. Fit down inside. There they go. You can either glue these in place or leave them loose. That bottomed out really nice. Yeah, put that on this line. Boy, look at that. They lined up nice and straight with each other, and they are square and vertical. That's good. I'm going to knock my wedges out now. Well, I'm going to knock the wedges out now. There we go. 1, 2. Okay, so now I have the rods in here, and what we're going to do then is drill the holes into the wall and then slide this into the wall and make that lock into the wall then. I need to check with my wife first to see where the best place would be to put these, and so we'll be right back after another break. Well, welcome back from your break. Of my 2 choices I had where I could put my shelf, this probably is the best one. So I have my wall here, and what I need to do is I'm going to take a level and I'm going to figure out where I can't see that. Oh, there it is. Where level is at. Make sure everything's nice and straight, and it's right there. So I left my pencil in the house with all the rest of them. So you got a nail here, and I'm going to kind of scratch a line on the board, and that gives me the horizontal measurement. And well, I left my tape measure in the house too, so my 32 inches, I'm just going to simply take the measurement from the rod, and with my pencil nail, I'm going to mark on a line there and mark on a line down here. So now I have the right spacing, and I have the studs behind here. So now all I have to do is hopefully drill the holes straight and plumb, or square and plumb, to make sure the shelf is going to sit. So I'm going to get my drill right here, so hang on. Hey, got my drill. Okay, so what I want to do now is make sure I find my spot here, and I'm going to, that's the right one? Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to get it started, and now I'm going to take my square and sight that to make sure it's straight this way, and it's straight that way. Okay, here we go. Wow. Oh, there we go. Yep, that's it. And now I move down here to the other mark that I have, and hopefully I measured right. And there's going to be a stud behind there. I know there's one in front of it, so hopefully there's one behind it. All right, I'm going to change gears here. Get that cleaned out. There we go. All right, now if everything is done correctly, this should line up and slide. Okay, I'm going to take a wood board and drive that in place to get it up against the wall. Oh yeah. And there we go. So now we have the ski shelf, and no ski shelf would be perfect without a ski fish. Put it on as part of the trophy. Okay. Yeah, it looks pretty good. What do you think? Yeah, okay. Always got to have a fish involved in that. And I guess that does our project for the day. So we'll see you next time. Have a good day.